Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. With the launch of Season 3 today in MW2 and Warzone 2, we of course got two brand new weapons, as with every single season. We got the FJX Imperium, aka the Intervention, which we actually already covered earlier today in terms of the best setup for multiplayer in Warzone. And now we're looking at the other new weapon for Season 3, the Squall Battle Rifle, which oddly reminds me of like the IMR, I think it was called, from some of the older Call of Duties. It's an interesting battle rifle for sure. It is essentially a fully auto weapon. At first, you can choose to toggle between full auto and semi-auto. It's very different depending on which of those you have active though. When it is fully auto, it's going to have a lot more recoil. It's not going to hit as hard. Its damage is definitely worse than in semi-auto. Semi-auto obviously takes a lot more skill because you have to be able to spam it and you have to be super accurate with it, but its damage is a lot better there. This setup that we have here, first up, we are going to be focusing on multiplayer, is a great combination to use for semi-auto or full auto. It's going to work either way and feel really consistent both ways. The Warzone setup is going to be drastically different though, because it's obviously very different kinds of engagements for that, right? But initially here on this multiplayer setup, we're focused on a decent bit of aggression, but also we want some stability and some control as well. So first up, I do use the Cronen Mini Pro optic. The iron sights are all right. If you like them, you could definitely drop this for a magazine or for a barrel or for a stock or something. But for me, the basic blue dot here works really well. Easy for tracking, easy for staying on target. We tune for that furthest eye position and the faster ADS. I then go for the Olay laser. This is part of that aggression there, right? But I do actually tune for a better stability. Now, you could tune for a better ADS if you wanted to, but this is going to help out for some of those mid-range fights, just to keep the gun feeling a bit more consistent there and limiting that sway, which is really huge, especially in the semi-auto version, in semi-auto mode. I do also tune for the better sprint to fire though. I also have the X10 rear grip. This is for better ADS and sprint to fire, and in this case, I'm tuning to maximize that. Again, part of that aggression. You could use this gun close range, mid range, long range. It's got the versatility there, especially if you're actively toggling between semi-auto and full auto, right? So that's definitely something you can integrate into your gameplay if you are mindful of that. As we back out all the way to the main menu, I've also got the Edge 47 underbarrel on here just for that straight up stabilization. Going to be huge for the mid range and the long range. Better stability and better stabilization on the tunes here. Pretty basic for that. Then I also got the Sack and Tread 40 muzzle, especially with the control and the recoil that this has in full auto. This is going to be clutch, but on semi-auto as well, it's going to make a big difference in consistently staying on target, which obviously is huge at any range. And we tune for the better gun kick control and stabilization here. Now, does this fit into the meta? It honestly depends on your level of skill and your playstyle. The semi-auto version, I personally feel like is a lot better than the full auto version, just because I find it easier to use. I can spam it quick, I can stay on target, and it's gonna feel like a battle rifle. Those 1 to 2 shot headshots and upper body shots are gonna feel really strong, whereas full auto, I honestly feel like it was kind of mediocre, just because the control was annoying. Its mag size only being 20 in multiplayer. Full auto, it can run out a lot quicker. So full auto, it's like a competitive gun. In semi-auto, I'd say it's more top tier. Not absolute meta, but definitely a solid choice if you are, a more skilled player for sure. Then we shift on over to the Warzone side of things, where, like I said, it's a very different build in a lot of ways because we're focusing on different kinds of gunfights here. But as we get into this section of the video, quick reminder, if you guys are new to the channel, every single day I got you covered with all things going on in COD, news, updates, the meta conversation, everything like that can be found right here on a daily basis. So feel free to hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications to stay up to date. Join us ultimately on the road to 1 million subs. And if you guys enjoy the video, if you find it helpful, let me know by dropping a like on it as well. But with the Squall in Warzone, again, it's going to be primarily built, I think, for semi-auto is going to be the way to go here. Again, because the recoil control over range, but also the mag size as well is something to keep in mind with. I just feel like it thrives more in semi-auto versus fully auto. This setup, mid to long range, is primarily the focus here. It's going to be built similar to how you would build like Attack V, essentially. It's very similar. That's the closest comp I would say for this gun in specific. Now, again, I am going for the basic blue dot. If there's a different optic you want to use, a VLK 4x, a Schlager, anything else you're more comfortable with, as always, go for what the most comfortable option is for you. Always that over the absolute meta. Optics are all preference, right? I do tune for the furthest eye position and faster ADS on any optic, though. That's kind of a given. Now, I do use the 30 round mag. 20 obviously in semi-auto or full auto is not going to cut it for anything outside of solos, and this week we don't even have solos, so 30 at a minimum is close to cutting it, but it is sufficient enough, right? You can get by with 30 for sure, especially in semi-auto. You can control how fast you're running out of ammo. 50 you could jump up to, but man, it's going to be slow, and this build is already not the snappiest, right? So I would avoid doing that if you could. Some players, though, might just like to default to that larger ammo capacity, which is totally fine. Just keep in mind, you're going to be slower, right? For the mid to long range, I am going for the high velocity ammo here. Pretty standard, right? Better velocity, better damage range on the tunes there. I also go for the Edge 47. This will help out a lot with that stability and stabilization over the mid to long range. I do tune to enhance that stability and that stabilization even more. Then lastly here, I go for the Talon muzzle. Pretty standard. There's no Echoless 80 in this case, which is usually my number one go-to, but the Talon is a great choice as well. Better velocity, better range on here. I think it gives a little bit of added control as well. So it's going to be obviously fantastic for keeping it consistent over the mid to long range once more. I tune for the slightly faster ADS since smoothness is not really doing much, and then also the better velocity as well for that consistency with the bullet drop and the hit reg over the mid to long range. So bit of an awkward weapon. If we jump into the gunsmith here, you guys can see that, I mean, if I go into semi-auto, even when you spam it doesn't really have much recoil, and it's going to kill consistently over the long range, right? If I actually land shots on the enemy, it's a 3-shot down on dummy across range. Really, there's not too much sway though. Very easy to stay on target, and you can spam it fast. Whereas full auto here, you can see a little bit more bounce, a lot more shake, especially horizontal. So that's something to keep in mind if you are trying to use it in that full auto version. But all that being said, that is effectively the Cronen Squall here in Warzone 2. The best setups for it in multiplayer and Warzone as well, obviously. Let me know what you guys think of this one down in the comments below. Nothing too crazy, not absolute meta, not, you know, garbage either. It's just a competitive option for sure, I think, regardless. But that is going to wrap things up for the video. If you guys enjoyed, let me know by dropping a like on it. And if you're new here, feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications so you can always stay up to date with everything going on between MW2, Warzone 2, and DMZ. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy. Have an awesome rest of your day. I will catch you guys later. Peace out.